Shall we talk about podcasting?
Why not?
You've started this podcast called Creative Spark Plug. What was the inspiration?
You. If you're doing it for a personal gain, then I don't know how long you will go.
Yeah.
You might be able to achieve quite a bit, but if you're able to detach the personal gain with maybe a larger picture, a larger vision, you will definitely go a long way.
What have been the challenges of doing a podcast?
Before we get there, let's turn the table around.
Sure.
Let's get to know you better.
भाई ये
like I
सब
said-
सवाल पूछने की आदत है मुझसे नहीं पूछता है
That's what I'm
कोई.
saying. Let's turn the table around. So,
What was my childhood like?
Where did your running journey start from? I think you ran in Spain.
I was a runner in the UK. UK has beautiful trails, but I used to go to Dave's gym and run on the treadmill. Can you imagine that? और यहाँ पे हर गड्ढे में दौड़ रहा होता
We
है
are so
बाहर.
naive about lot of things.
Yeah, dude.
I'm up from my sleep every day at 4. But I get up and I'm like, yeah, let's go back to sleep. So how do you train the mind to even cross that barrier?
Like if you've tasted your disciplined side and what that feels like, and you decide that even if I drift, this is the feeling I want to come back to. For people who want to start podcasting, what do you want to warn them about? Welcome back to the Find Your Ultra podcast. This conversation is with my cousin Rajesh. I've pretty much grown up with him. Like we've lived in different cities. He's from Bangalore. I'm from Delhi. But we can say we in a way grown up together because we spent a lot of time in our childhood together. We've traveled around quite a bit together. He was in Delhi and I had this opportunity to have a conversation with him. There are quite a few things about him. He's the CEO of Kalatmak Spatial Systems, which is a firm based out of Bangalore. Now that company itself has a story which we'll cover in another episode, probably with his father, because he was the one that founded it, that started it. Rajesh has taken over as a CEO and he's grown the company multifold. I must admit, he's one of the smartest people I know and one of the most open-minded people that I've ever known, because there isn't a thing that you can propose to him and even if it remotely sounds exciting, he's always up for it. Even if it doesn't, even if you say it half-heartedly, he's up for it. So, he's just so much fun to be with. And he was here, we just decided to jam and we didn't really have a set agenda. We just said, let's just talk, and which is what we did. We had to cut it short because there's construction going on next door and despite best efforts, we couldn't stop it. But we realized through the conversation that actually we can do a much, much longer podcast. Maybe just talk about all things random and maybe do like a 4-hour thing sometime. Rajesh also is a podcast host now. He hosts this podcast called Creative Spark Plug along with his co-host Bashob. Both of these guys look like podcasters, not like me. But and I quite enjoy their podcasts. Their guests are amazing. The subjects that they delve into are quite amazing. I'm a fan of the podcast already. The great thing about this is that it was inspired by Find Your Ultra. I don't know whether the podcast is actually inspired by Find Your Ultra, but the inspiration to do a podcast actually, Rajesh says, came from the podcast that you're listening to. No real gyan in it. This is just two brothers talking. It's an authentic, real, I think beautiful conversation. Tune in. Here's Rajesh Sharma and me in the Find Your Ultra podcast. Indulge away. Rajesh, welcome to the Find Your Ultra podcast.
Thank you, brother.
Good to be here, bolo yaar.
Finally, good to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we've grown up together.
Yes.
बात क्या करनी है फिर?
Forever and ever.
Yeah. Great. There are quite a few angles that I want to explore with you. One is, of course, your entrepreneurship side. You trained as an architect and then you're now looking after your family business and you've recently started a podcast. So I want to know all about that. How's that been? But give us a brief background of your growing up years. You were born in Haryana.
Yes.
In this village that has a very sweet name. Gopi.
Very human name.
Gopi.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think before I start about myself, I think I need to go back and tell you about my dad. So my parents come from a small village in Haryana, close to Bhiwani. And like you said, the name is Gopi. A lot of people confuse it to be a human being. So,
yeah.
but yeah, so he.
Do you know the background of the history of the naming
Why
of
the
the
name
village?
Gopi? No,
Yeah.
I have no idea. And
But we should
fortunately,
start exploring. I mean, I'm curious.
yes,
Anyway.
would do that after this.
Ah.
So fortunately or unfortunately, I haven't spent too much time there. I grew up in Bangalore. My dad.
But first 5 years you were there. So did you
So I will just tell you
did
that.
anything have an influence?
Quite a lot. I'm guessing, like they say that till the age of 7,
Yeah.
a child's brain gets developed. So I'm guessing it definitely had a lot of influence, but subconsciously. But yeah, so my dad comes from a very poor family, a large family as well. There were 7 siblings, 4 sisters, 3 brothers. And while they were growing up, they had, I think, like every family from the village, did not have too much money, but self-sustained. That it wasn't that they were famined, and because of hunger they definitely had limited resources, but they grew their own food. So, which I think a lot of people in Indian subcontinent do, where they grow their own food.
Yeah.
So they were self-sustained in a lot of ways, but definitely not having enough money. So they used to 8, 9, I think 10 of them stayed in a small house in the village. And because of that, and even though dad was good in his studies, and he did not get a chance to study further. So he started working when he was 17. He got married when he was 18, and I was born when he was 19.
Wow.
So a lot of people today, they think we are brothers. He's my elder brother because he's only 62 now and I'm 42, 43. So the difference is only 19 years. A lot of my friends had that kind of differences between their siblings. So in Bangalore.
Correct.
So he started off as a carpenter helper, and from there on he grew. He's like the first generation entrepreneur in the family. He grew from there while we were growing up. So I spent a early part of my childhood in the village with my grandmom and granddad, and I do remember some parts of it. It was very early, so I don't remember everything, but I do remember a few things here and there, and some snippets keep coming back into the mind every now and then,
Tell me
depending
some
on
of those.
So some things like how the school was back then, the government school that was there in the village, the way we used to
You have
play.
memories of the government school in the village?
Very few, like 1 or 2. There was one where there's one incident where my brother had come from. So he went and started staying with my parents at the age of 6 months or probably earlier, and he came, I think when he was 3 or 3.5 maybe. He came to the village and he went to the school with me. So that's one incident that I remember. And then I think he had a bad stomach, so he ended up pooping in the class. So those things, there are very few such incidences. I don't remember much about the teachers and all of that.
फौजी के बारे में ये नहीं पता था हमें बात करेंगे
फौजी की बात बहुत सारी ऐसी कहानियां हैं. So then I think parents decided, I think thanks to my mom also, that she insisted that both the kids have the same upbringing. Otherwise, they were planning to keep me in the village. I think which a lot of families do that, where one grandson stays with the grandkid stays with the with the parents, grandparents, and one stays with the parents. And since they grow up, there's a difference. I think we've seen a lot of these in the movies, Hindi movies as well. So, but mom insisted that no, we have to have same upbringing for both of them.
So you're just lucky to be in the city,
Yes,
or
definitely.
unlucky?
Possible. I think it's lucky so far, because if not for all of that, I would have probably not been what I am today.
For sure.
Not that I've achieved too many things in life, but
no, but life would be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the age of 5, I moved from Haryana to Bangalore. And when we moved there, Bangalore was very different. Bangalore had a lot of trees, very open spaces, less people, less traffic. It felt good. And while we were growing up, so we used to come to Haryana once in a year, once in a year and a half. But that slowly started becoming lesser and lesser because grandparents moved to Bangalore. They started staying with us. And dad also, his business also was growing. So he started off, like I said, he started as a carpenter helper. And from there he grew.
Hmm.
So while he was growing, a lot of our relatives started moving there, because in the contracting business that he is, the carpentry business, generally the first source of help comes from your immediate relatives.
Yeah.
So brother-in-laws,
Yeah.
from both mother's side and father's side.
Sure.
So they all started coming in to assist him. And I think that has always been lucky, or probably not, I wouldn't say lucky, but being the, in the right place at the right time. And a lot of right things happened to him. So as and when he started doing more and more work, and the kind of company that he started having, his mindset also started changing. But I think a lot of change started happening when we started going to this spiritual organization, and things were very different there.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, a lot of personality development started happening, both for my parents as well as for us as kids. We learned a lot from there.
Interesting.
So
I know that that's been an important part of your life, but I didn't know that it had an influence on your dad in the way that, like, shaping personality. You said personality development and all. In that sense, I thought, like, you would associate a spiritual organization with peace of mind and, maybe prosperity, but not with personality development and
but
stuff
yeah,
like
so
that.
once that happens, when peace of mind comes in, when you start meeting different kind of people, you learn from them. And you're very
Mm.
young. He was probably 30 something
Hmm.
when he started going, or when he started getting more and more influenced by it.
Hmm.
And I was 13, my brother was 11 and a half. And that formulated a lot of our later years.
Sure.
We used to do a lot of voluntary work there.
Yeah.
And as kids, we were just left open. We were free to do whatever we wanted. Unlike in today's times, where we worry about
Hmm.
we keep worrying about half the time what our kids are going to do, how they're, who's there, who's taking care of them, who's going to probably misbehave with them or whatever.
Yeah.
So back then, all that was not there. We just
Hmm.
go there and just be let free,
Hmm.
and we do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
So,
So we can mention it, right? So you're talking about Radha Swami Satsang Vyas,
yes.
right? And in the Bangalore Dera, because like I said, we've grown up together, and I've seen you guys doing seva all the time. Like, that's like, even till date, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Every
only
Sunday, that's your Sunday
post-COVID,
ritual.
yeah. So only post-COVID it's reduced,
Hmm.
but yeah, it used to be a regular.
Hmm. So in that sense, it's been a regular feature of your life.
Yes,
And what influence has it had on you?
it has had a major influence on me, because whatever I am today in terms of a person, it comes from there.
Like, what qualities?
Like, a lot of people say that I'm very patient. It probably is because of being in that voluntary space that I was in, and it required that, where thousands of people are coming and we have to serve them, and you can't lose your cool on anything.
Yeah.
So something like that. So like that's one of them. Like this, there are many.
And then of course, when you say yes to something, you also say no to other things. So that also keeps you away from bad influences and other kind of lifestyles that teenagers and teens usually get into. So that
Yes.
sort of kept you away from that as well. Okay. Awesome. That's wonderful. Your father's journey is a story of its own, and I want to have him on the podcast sometime when he's here, because that is, like, truly inspirational story, coming from that background and making it um big, in the sense that he's a very successful businessman now. Cool. Tell me about architecture. Why did you get into architecture, and then why did you get out of it?
So I haven't gotten out of it, which I realized just about 2 days back again, because I met a couple of my seniors for the event that I was here. So I also thought that I'd gotten out of it, but then they're like, no, you haven't gotten out of it. It's better you're there. So why architecture? Interesting, because that's the first thing even I ask all my friends and everybody else whom I meet as architect. Why architecture? So as a kid, I was very not fascinated, but I used to be involved in a lot of sketching and not painting much, but a lot of sketching. And I was very good with that. So somebody very early in my life told me you should do something to do with arts. So I think that was when I was in 8th standard. And by the time I was in 10th, Dad also said, since he was in a allied field, he also said that it's good that one of you, like me or my brother, take up architecture. Since his work has got to do like an extension of architecture. So he is into execution of interior spaces.
Yeah.
Back then, that's what he used to do. So that probably was what influenced me. And since I was quite interested in painting and sketching and all of that, I decided by 10th standard that yes, this is what I will do. So, but even that said, the day I walked into college, not like I knew what exactly architecture is about, but at least I knew that this is what I want to do. So I even interned at an architect's place in his office before I went to the college. For a month, I was in his office before I went to college. So even there, I knew it is about buildings. I knew it is about doing something to do about buildings. But even then, I had no idea that it is going to have such a big influence on me as it did. And yeah, I mean, I was in love with the subject. I am in love with the subject. Probably, and I keep telling my wife as well that is my first love and you're the second. So, and
Dangerous territory, brother.
so, but she supports me in all of that, and she very well understands where I come from. So that's how I got into architecture. I completed my college. I was probably studies, went on, started working with other architects, and then by about 2014, because my younger brothers in the army, and his business also had grown to a certain scale, uh, where he wanted somebody else to take it up. So he asked me. He said, "Why don't you join?" I said, "See, it's your business. I have nothing to do with it. I'm very happy where I am. So you are free to do what you want with it." But circumstances happened, and I think again, it's some right things happening at the right time, probably. And I ended up deciding to join the family business. It became family business then because till then it was a business, first generation.
Sure.
And then 2014, 1st Jan is when I joined him.
Okay.
So,
आपका
and
कार्यकाल मोदी जी के साथ शुरू हुआ था.
kind of, yes. And so the boss with whom I was working, who helped me decide this, he said, "See, for you, if you go there, do this thing, and you can also come back to architecture about 5-6 years. It's not going to be difficult for you." It's been 12 years now since I've been out of it. But I understand now that it is an extension to what I was doing back in his office or the other offices that I worked in. And I am quite enjoying it. And it's definitely not being away from architecture. I would say it's an extension of what we used to do as a design practice.
Sure.
Now we bring it into reality.
But tell me, it wasn't as frictionless or as smooth as you just told in the story.
Definitely not. I think those are
yeah. So and this is something that I've noticed. Like I have other friends also, Dheeraj, and so a lot of people from our generation had trouble joining in their father's business because of the differences that they had. What sort of differences did you guys have?
I think we have differences in many ways. One is the vision to the company. The other is communication systems.
Not today. Today,
it's always been there. I mean, it's there today or the day. And I think growing up has certain things happen which carry on for a long time. A lot of incidences in my life which probably I would not want to share too much of. It's just that one after the other they just kept happening. And he that kind of put an image in his head about me. So my communication with my dad wasn't very good when I joined the business. We were cordial. We used to talk to each other, but it's not something that it wasn't a kind of relationship where I could share everything with him. Even an irony was that a lot of my friends, or in fact all my friends, used to say that your father is like your friend, and it's good to have a father like that. But I think those incidences that happened that created that rift between us, and we were not in great communicating terms for a while. So that kind of created a bit of a issue. And the first 6 months in office was like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
more so not because it was my father, but more so because we're used to working with somebody. Somebody is there to guide you that, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this. And every day there was a direction in which you were guided. Now here suddenly I am my own boss and I don't know what is happening. And I also wasn't the kind that who had this inclination towards business. I was very happy being an architect. And architects, like most of us know, are not known are known for not having a good business sense. At least that's the perception a lot of us have.
Yeah, well, we could generalize that and extend that to all kinds of artists or art-related professions.
Yes.
Huh.
So that's how it started. So then we had somebody an organization development consultant, and he came in, and that gave us a bit of a room to discuss and grow. And so we grew year on year. We grew, and he was there with us till COVID. Around COVID is when I think, because the consultant was also with us for a long time and we all become a part of the organization. So I think it was time for him to move on. Then in about 20, so suppose COVID, I think all of us had challenges. We all business owners had the similar challenge trying to survive. Things got better and we were growing again. Like I said, we were growing. Right things were happening to us at the right time, which was very good. I'm thankful for that. Then we got somebody else on board, and they are now consulting us. And now we are growing further from there. So this is how things have been. If you ask me, if even today, like now also, if I'm able to communicate very well with my dad, yes, things are getting better, but it's not the way I would probably want it to be.
Yeah, but then I mean, मुकम्मल जहाँ किसको मिलता है, it's never perfect, right?
True.
Yeah, but you guys have found ways to get around it and
Yes.
still manage to get your make your business thrive. Because I know it has grown multifold since you've
Yes.
joined. But the elders in the company still feel सब कुछ खराब हो रहा है, बर्बाद हो रहा है सब कुछ. Even though the bottom line and everything is tells another story.
Yeah.
But that's a part of
Those are all challenges of
Yeah.
a family business.
yeah, and yeah, I think some generational differences and stuff. And there are good things and bad things about everything, and there's so much to learn from them and the way they've like this today's mindset of raising money and not caring too much about what the bottom line is or how much money you're making and how profitable you are. Earlier, it used to be all about profits,
Yes.
and if you're not doing that, then you're not doing it right. And there are very few people in today's times who are able to build a business on those principles, saying profitable karna hai hame, rather than just raising money and keep
No,
on raising money.
It's I think in a lot of ways it's good they are there to guide
Yeah.
and hold me back whenever I feel like flying too far. It's like I keep telling that I've been tied with an elastic leash, and
That's ideal.
and then I can only go that far, and then I'll have to come back. So the day I decide to push too much, I know there is somebody holding me, not holding me back for bad, but holding me back for good, because unlike a lot of startups, I mean, again, I'm generalizing, but unlike a lot of startups, we are trying to grow, and we are trying to grow not at a very rapid pace, but at a pace which we can sustain for probably centuries to come. And that's what our focus is
Yeah,
on.
I mean, it's a business built on solid fundamentals.
Yes.
It's not flimsy and in the air. So
So we didn't want to be just self-employed. We wanted to get into a space where we can create and have some impact on the society and the segment of business that we are in.
sure,
So,
fabulous. Okay, shall we talk about podcasting?
why not?
You've started this podcast called Creative Spark Plug,
Yes.
right? What was the inspiration?
You. So
Find
after-
Your Ultra.
yes, more so you. So
Wow.
after listening to about 50 odd episodes, 50 plus of yours, and many others, I think a lot of them, I think Ranveer Alabadia, who's going through a lot of controversy right now, I've heard a lot of his episodes, found it very interesting in a
Really?
way that more on the learning perspective. So there was, you read a book, you learn something.
Sure.
This was much faster way of learning something because somebody is telling us these things. But the danger of this was that I'm still getting a perspective of person. I think Milind very recently mentioned that on your podcast as well, that he stopped reading books at the age of 15 because he felt he's inculcating somebody else's thought frame. But yeah, I mean that's how it has been, and I think I've never been the kind of person who's like at the top, getting the best of ranks and stuff. We've been pretty average, doing well in a lot of things, but not the best in everything. So when learning started happening, be it at college, be it in architecture or even post architecture, and like I said, since I wasn't a very business minded, since we are not business oriented, when I started getting this information through podcasts, it became addictive. So I wanted more and more. So when you started about 2 years back now, and I had heard almost about 40, 50 episodes of yours, and I realized that there is something that I would like to do about this. And in the space of creativity, initially we thought it would be architecture, and we also tried to keep it in line, the name in line with the company. But then we realized that that's not what we are doing. I mean, that's not what we wanted to do, because we didn't want it to be related to a brand or related to a specific company organization. We wanted it to be that, because that's not what we were seeking. The idea was not to market the brand or the company. It was to learn from people. And me being very, I don't know, I'm not very confident with communication in public, especially with others. At least this is what the case was before the podcast started. So I opted to go in with a co-host. So Bashob, who is the co-host, he comes in from a different background, like a similar background, but from a different, slightly different perspective. And he's a designer himself. I'm an architect. So we thought it's a good combination to try, and it gives me more confidence. So we started off like that, and all thanks to you. You put me on to Keshav, and Keshav helped us plan the whole thing together. And he guided us towards what topic, who's our TG, what is it that we want to talk about, who are the kind of people that we can talk to, and where do we want this to be taken. So that's how we started off. We were doing audio podcasts, and multiple people kept saying, go video, why are you not doing video? So finally we decided to go video as well. About 15 days, about a month back is when we decided to go video, and our first video episode was out on 15th of Jan. So now we have recorded 3 video episodes, and 21 episodes are out. It's been an interesting journey so far.
Wonderful. I mean, it's important to underline this role played by Keshav. So I think we both started. We were both in a similar place where, okay, I had a creative impulse. I wanted to create something. I just mentioned it to him. I met him through some project we were seeking to do together. And I mentioned to him that I want to start a podcast at some point. I had been a podcast listener for good 10 years. Utna hi bola tha, but starting a podcast had been on my to-do list for years. Like I was just telling you, 2017 ke notepad mein likha hua tha कि 1st January 2018 I'll launch the podcast. What is it going to be about? How will I do it? What format? How long? Audio, video? How do you go about? I had no idea. And because of that, because you don't have that clarity, you never start. So 2018 to chodo, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 mein jaake start hui. So I met Keshav, I think, at the end of 22. And 23 is when I launched the podcast. And a similar process he took you through as well. Now, if you just look at it, all of us have some desire to do something on the side, or a passion project, or maybe your main thing, whatever. There's some impulse to do it. Now, someone like Keshav comes in. What's he done? He's gotten you to clarity through a process. And that's all he's done. He's not like given you a vision. He just pulled out a vision from you. So जो सवाल हम अपने आप से नहीं पूछ रहे थे और वो रास्ता नहीं बन रहा था, he just kept asking you question. ठीक है, इसका जवाब मिल गया, तो every question that we answered was a step forward. And then we took those 10 steps forward, and here we are. We've launched a podcast. I think both of us have benefited immensely from that, and a lot of people listening will probably have that desire. They want to create something, but they'll be like, they'll have hesitations that you had and I had, which is, I'm not a great communicator. Who would want to listen to me? मेरे पास बात क्या करने को, किससे करेंगे? But then here we are. Like, I've done 83 episodes so far, and it's all right. And the podcast has its own fair share of fans and people who admire it, people who say keep going, we love listening to it. So, you may be able to create something valuable if you just have a little bit of help from somebody, and
True.
and you should just not let that die, is what I feel. So if someone's listening to this and they want to start a podcast, I would say go for it, explore it. Do not, like, we'll talk about the other side of it also, that it's not easy for sure. Like, you can't, it's not a cakewalk. It's a very, very tough and challenging journey. It costs a lot, like not just monetary terms, but time and patience and hard work. It demands a lot. It's very demanding. So that's the other side of it. But maybe starting an audio podcast, maybe with a lesser frequency, once a month, one episode a month, is doable. 12 episodes in a year. Like, you can start your journey like that, and then slowly, as you get the hang of it, as you know what you're able to do and not do, as you have more resources, more knowledge, you can decide to increase the frequency, and then at some point make it 4 episodes a month. I've probably taken that on sooner than I should have, because it's difficult to churn out episodes like that. But you can do that, and maybe then at one point decide when you can go video, you go video. But you should know what are the demands of it. So let's talk about the other side of it. What have been the challenges of doing a podcast?
Before we get there, let's turn the table around.
Sure.
Let's get to know you better. I don't know. I think a lot of your fans must be knowing you.
I
The way
don't have
you
any
are,
fans. I have
but,
one, that's Kridha, and the other, my wife doesn't watch the podcast. There's my mother, probably. She listens to Hindi episodes.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
your mother and my mother are cousins. So we are like second cousins, but we behave more like brothers because we've been growing up together, and you stay in Delhi, I stay in Bangalore.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of it's not like we have grown up literally with each other most of the time, but it's been a great relationship. You went and studied in Cardiff. How's your childhood like? Because a lot of things I have not seen.
भाई ये
like I
सब
said,
सवाल पूछने की आदत है मुझे, मुझसे नहीं पूछता है
that's what I'm
कोई.
saying. Let's turn the table around. So, where
Childhood.
did you start? Why Delhi? You were born in Haryana as well.
Yeah.
You're from the same village as my mother, and you're from Haryana, and your father's villages are also, I think they're all
Close
in the
by,
20-30 kilometer
Yes.
radius.
Yeah. I've
So-
run from one to the other. Yeah.
Nice.
20 odd kilometers.
So let's hear from you.
What was my
Childhood
childhood
like?
like? Yeah, I was born in Bahadurgarh and I was brought up in Delhi. And it was very underconfident, and I was in a school which is right across the road here. And in our school, I think even the teachers didn't speak English, and so that was a big deal. And I almost didn't get an admission into this because teacher ने good morning वगैरह कुछ करने के लिए बोला था, और वो मुझसे हुआ नहीं था. मैं whisper किया जा रहा था धीरे-धीरे. So learning to speak good English was a major part of it. And when I got introduced to you guys were from Bangalore, and you and Satish, both of my cousins are talking in English all the time.
I
And we are
remember
like,
that. I remember that.
and so you had come, I think, for the first time, और हमारे पास वो टीवी पे कार्टून नेटवर्क चल रहा था और वो हिंदी में था. So and Satish was like, ये तो हिंदी में आता है यहाँ पे. मैं कहता और किस में आता है? इंग्लिश में भी आता है ये. He said, yeah, no, बैंगलोर में इंग्लिश में
Yeah.
आता है. मैंने कहा अच्छा यार, हमारे यहाँ तो हिंदी में आता है. And I even remember when I went to Bangalore for the first time, Satish and I had this deal with Satish कि मुझे इंग्लिश इम्प्रूव करनी है अपनी, यार मेरे से इंग्लिश में बात करना जब भी करनी है. तो but for some reason he would speak with me in Hindi. Like बैंगलोर में वो सबसे इंग्लिश में बात कर रहा है, जब मुझसे बात करेगा तो एकदम से हिंदी में. And I would just get pissed off at him. ये सब होता था. Yeah, but I guess things improved with call centers and all of that. It improved, but I don't know what parts of my childhood that I want to talk about or highlight, because everything is a rabbit hole that I can go down. But broadly, what I remember is I grew up as a very underconfident kid. But a major influence when I was coming back from Bangalore, your father gave me a book, The Magic of Thinking Big, which I finished on the train. Dr. David J. Schwartz. It was the first book I read in my life. Like
I was
outside.
exposed to too many of those self-help books very early in life.
Very early.
Yeah.
हाँ तो हो
About
सकता
I
है
think 8th 9th standard, and for almost about 5 years I kept
हाँ,
reading that, and
हाँ,
I was like, what the hell am I doing?
hmm,
Why am I reading only these books?
hmm.
So I
So
mean,
maybe
not like we
because
were very avid readers, but yes, we did read quite a bit. Started from Enid Blyton and a lot of other things, Famous Five.
Mm.
And so I think one of the reasons why we also picked up English was because dad, while he was like, when we started schooling, he said, you will talk to me only in English, because he wanted to learn English.
hmm,
And even though he's just 10th pass,
10th pass, yeah,
his English is good. It's
it's
actually
good.
great. It's
Yeah.
and he learned it while we were learning. So
And learning something like learning a language, and especially English,
yeah,
when you're 30 odd years or whatever, it's never easy, dude.
yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, that picking up from there, when my daughter was born, and when now I have three,
Hmm.
so I told my wife that like my dad learned a lot of things from us when we were in schooling. So I kind of made it my mission, not exactly a mission, but also a thing that whatever I have left out in my life so far, I will probably start with my daughter while she's growing up.
Mhm.
So, like music, for example, if she's interested in music, I'd love to pick up music as well. Because I
Yeah,
have somewhere in
I have the
between left
same
the
thought.
saxophone and drumming.
Even school, like even the school education, I want to do
Yes.
schooling again with my daughter.
Yeah,
Like because physics and history and all of these things, I now have immense interest in. They were just not taught in the right way, I feel.
true.
It's just and I hated studies, and I was a pathetic student. And yeah, so that book had, so maybe because you had read too many of those, the influence of the positive self-help got neutralized maybe for
Like
you.
Dale Carnegie and
Dale Carnegie.
how
हाँ,
to, how
Dale
to
Carnegie.
speak to people and influence and something like that. And
Yeah. How to make friends and influence people.
Yeah, that was there. And then there was another, there were quite a few of them.
Dale Carnegie, I just recently read, and I think that was also suggested by you. But that's a remarkable book.
Yes.
Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
I think these need to be revised a little bit. But that book had a major influence in my early life. बैंगलोर से शुरू हुआ था, ट्रेन में बैठा और दिल्ली आते आते फिनिश कर दी थी मैंने. And dude, that changed my thought process. And I was like, I was the only big thinker around. And I learned this, that if you think really big in life, you're going to have less competition. Because pretty much everybody finds it so difficult to think big. You're just going to
Yeah.
there's so much competition at mediocre levels. So नीचे का aim करोगे तो आप फंसे ही रह जाओगे. आप इतना बड़ा सोचोगे तो वो सोचने वाले ही बड़े कम है. There's less competition. From there, dude, I was like, okay, my life is set. I'm thinking big and I'm killing it, which is why I had the audacity to even think that somebody coming from a poor, lower middle class family could even afford to go to the UK for education. And when I told my family कि मुझे UK जाना पड़ेगा ना, हाँ, मतलब हवा में तो उड़ लो, लेकिन कैसे? कैसे होगा मुझे नहीं पता, but मुझे जाना है, ठीक है? And then we started figuring out, we started exploring options and figuring out a loan which took us like we had to take help from like 20 people to even like submit everybody's documents as security to just get a small loan. It's become, people have much more money now, and it's become much more affordable to, and maybe not, it's become even more expensive, the overseas education, but people have a lot more money, and it's not a big deal now to go abroad and study. But that was the time I felt I am made for greater things. And I was in Cardiff, I was having a great time, and I was in a job, I was getting promotions and stuff, and whatever I was touching was turning into gold. And that was the time my friend called me here for a business. So I flew back within, he said, 1 महीने का time hai. And I was so confident about everything. I packed everything, wrapped my 5 years of life in the UK in a month, resigned in a week over a text message. Jamie, my circumstances have changed. I'll have to go to India. So I flew back to India and I did a business with them, with a couple of my friends. That bombed big time, and it had to, because we didn't know anything about the business we were getting into, and I lost all the savings and everything that I had. And that was such a low period of my life where I lost all the confidence that I had gained in my entire life. I was like, and maybe I could have done better with some help around that time, but my confidence really took a hit around that time. And then I got back into a job and I was like, okay, no, I need to, because before that, my focus was learn a skill, get better at things. And I used to be dependable and all of that. But then I was like, okay, no, dude, you don't have to, you can't afford to fly too high. You have to have some groundedness as well. So then I got back into job. And I think since then, that flying high attitude, that big thinking thing disappeared somewhere. I guess all of that is now sort of slowly coming back as I'm more into self help and listening to these good podcasts and reading good books. And Diary of a CEO is a great one. So I think that positive influence is now coming back with the inclusion of people like Keshav in my life, another friend of mine, Biplab, uh, people like you. So if you have that sort of influence around you, you do get back to yourself. And I felt in that entire process, I had lost my way somewhere. But with this podcast is a good outlet for that expression. I don't know where this leads.
No,
but
I think it happens. It happens a lot. It happened to me. But where did your running journey start from? I think you ran in Spain.
No, before that. So my running journey actually is now looking back started from when I ran from Cardiff to Carmarthen. It was a walk mostly, and it was a great project. So that was my first ultra. But mostly it had started even before that. I was a runner in the UK. UK has beautiful trails, but I used to go to Dave's gym and run on the treadmill. Can you imagine that? और यहाँ पे हर
I think
गड्ढे में दौड़ रहा होता
we
है
are so
बाहर.
naive about a lot of things.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, running journey started there, and running has been an important part of my life. Yeah, running's been great.
So, and since you were talking about influences, I think a lot of this influence thing actually works, and we don't really realize the importance of it, because a lot of things that I started doing, apart from what was happening in my life so I think they're all channelized. So we have our own personal lives that keep going on, and then the first time, like I said, my brother's in the army, and I think his first couple of years in the training, every semester end, he would have like, I think the first time I heard somebody running long distance, I was like, are people crazy? So he said he had to run from one city to another, some 250 kilometers. He must have been, 19, 20?
Yeah. And
So-
Satish used to be big before he joined the army.
And
the
he-
first time he came back, we were
We're
all
like,
shocked, dude. He was skinny.
Yeah. Like we could literally see his bones and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next year, the next semester, they did some cycling, some 450 kilometers. So I think I also want to do something like this. So that's when I picked up long distance cycling. And you started running. So there was this time when I would try and run 10 kilometers. I was doing that fairly well till life changed in direction in a different way. But yeah, I think influences are very important, and being able to identify and acknowledge that is very, very important as well. So like that's been a very, very, very big influence on me. I probably think a lot of 99% of me is him. And then I was listening to this song Linkin Park, where there's one line about something about how he wants to get away from the shadow of his influencer. So that started happening, because then I started thinking that I'm probably being a little too much like my dad. So I think that got me into another direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these are things that life does to us. And like even the first time when we met, you were speaking in Hindi, I was speaking in English.
Yeah.
And like you had this moment that, I think I need to influence my English, improve my English. When you were doing your Hindi podcast, I was like, man, why can I not speak in Hindi like this? मेरे को हिंदी सीखनी है. हिंदी में बात करते हैं, but the way you speak Hindi is very different. I mean, that fluency doesn't come because we've grown in Bangalore, and there Hindi doesn't happen the way it happens here.
For sure.
So I've been struggling with that, but yeah, that's another influence that is there. Someday I want to record in Hindi that way.
Yeah.
So please continue. How did you get into long distance running?
Yeah.
What made you do that?
Just a word about Hindi. I really love the fact that Hindi is getting its due importance now. Now it's not shameful anymore to speak in Hindi. पहले तो इज्जत नहीं मिलेगी आपको अगर इंग्लिश नहीं आती थी.
But I wonder why. Because see, you've been in the Europe for about 5 years, and I've traveled quite a bit. What we see everywhere is
they love
people
their
speak
local
in their
language.
local language.
Yeah.
all the jobs are in that.
Yeah.
There, in fact, they're not even ashamed. Be it China, France, Vietnam, Germany, anywhere. Everybody is so proud of their mother tongues and their local languages. Here, it's like a different world.
No, yeah, I think when we were growing up, when we were in school, वो globalization उस time चालू हो ही रहा था. We were first, we got our first icons in Sachin Tendulkar and people like that, and we were just like becoming somebody on the world stage. So globalization है तो globally accepted language कौन सी है? That was also the time of call centers and getting jobs and everything. So everything is like we used to look up to people who could speak in English. तो ये होता था. At least North India में तो ये था. और हिंदी तो हर कोई बोल लेता है क्योंकि हमारी इट्स नॉट अ बिग डील, पर हिंदी जितनी खूबसूरत भाषा है वो अब निकल के आ रही है। अब जब लोग इतनी अच्छे से बोलते हैं हिंदी, लाइक आई हैव हैड सम गेस्ट्स ऑन द पॉडकास्ट एंड आई स्पीक विद देम, तो वही है जहाँ पे
your episode with Jogi Jugnu, and
Yeah.
that was all in Hindi.
in Hindi,
It was
yes.
brilliant.
Yeah, even with Faizi, even with couple of other people. Yeah, Mohit Rud Sharma. And I'm going to have another one with Pallavi, and we have her show to attend soon today, Pallavi Mahajan. So yeah, ये लोग इतनी बढ़िया हिंदी बोलते हैं, मतलब मेरा इंटरेस्ट पोइट्री में रहा है हमेशा से. That has helped me like stay in touch with the language a little bit. But conversational English में like professionally मैं हिंदी नहीं बोलता हूँ. काम में हम हमेशा इंग्लिश यूज करते थे, तो इंग्लिश ओवर टाइम because we came from that mindset has become my preferred language. So I'm more comfortable in English than in Hindi. अब जहाँ पे पुलिस बैठी होती है ना, वहाँ पे मैं अटक जाता हूँ. बस जैसे हरियाणवी, I think I speak brilliant हरियाणवी in front of somebody who can't speak हरियाणवी.
Yeah.
But if it's a हरियाणवी speaking person in front of me, I'll hesitate. Similar with हिंदी, कि अगर ये कवि बैठे हैं बहुत बढ़िया, तो फिर मेरी थोड़ी लग जाती है. पर जो थोड़ा नहीं बोलता हिंदी, उसके आगे हम बोल सकते हैं. Anyway, that was that. And you were asking about long distance running.
Yes.
Fairly simple, dude. I won't bore people with details, but I wanted to lose weight, and I realized that you have to run longer to burn more calories. And the longer I ran, I realized the longer I can go. And I was like, okay, distances, ये भी कुछ चीज होती है. When I started measuring, I was like, dude, this is a thing. 10 kilometers, 12. And then I learned about this 42 kilometer कि marathon कितनी होती है. I saw a bus passing by, and I was like, उसमें लिखा था Mavana Sugars marathon, and I was like, ये marathon करेंगे एक दिन, लोग बहुत सुना क्या होता है. And I went home and I decided already कि जो भी distance होगा भाग लूंगा मैं. Registered for 42 kilometers.
This was here in India or in?
Yeah, here in Delhi.
But I thought Spain was your first time
No,
that you
that
ran.
was my first ultra. Spain was my first 50K.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did this 42. Yeah. And that's how I got into long distance running. And then because distance is like वो 42 हुआ, वो उसकी अपनी story. I've shared that on the podcast a couple of times, so I won't repeat that. But it was life changing when I finished that.
I think, like you said, your journey of running is already, you've spoken a lot on that on a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
But what you have not told us is the mind games that happen when you run. Because I've been trying to get back to running now, and because again wanting to lose weight and stuff. But it also getting influenced by a lot of your guests on the podcast. Somebody who started at 45, somebody who started at 48.
Yeah.
Started as in restarted maybe. Then
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, some started also. Some people started pretty
And
late.
from there, their journey has begun.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? Why can I not do it again? Because I've been there.
Yeah.
But the mind is such a,
Yeah.
it's such a freak. You run 100 meters and it starts playing games. So how do you overcome that?
Yeah. No, dude, I've also had a love-hate relationship with running, which is why over the last year and a half, I've not been running much. I get back into it for 2-3 months and then I lose track. So वो होता है. But before that, if you remember, I did a running streak as well. 531 days of running 5 kilometers every day, and for some period a half marathon every weekend, and I ended up running close to 5,000 kilometers in the entire year. So not 5K every day. So अगर 5K करता तो बहुत कम, कितना 150 बनता है ना, तो 2,000 किलोमीटर भी नहीं होते. It was 5,000. So as I decided to head out every single day, कि 5 किलोमीटर करने तो जाना ही है, I ended up running much more because I could, because everyone can, right? So if you, I think, commit, like streaks are great that way.
But how do you stick to that commitment? Like now, the biggest challenge that I'm having, especially, probably it's an excuse that I have 3 kids and then other things have to happen and then there's work but how do you stick to that? Because like when I heard about your streaks of so many 500 plus days and then this whole training with Keshav on the podcast thing where he said 45 days, every day, half an hour on the dot,
Yeah.
you have to come on a call.
Yeah.
And I remember taking calls in the train toilet because I didn't want somebody else to hear what I was talking about while traveling and stuff like that. And so that definitely the discipline has to be there. So how do you discipline yourself to do that streak every single day?
I'm finding it hard to answer at this stage because I'm struggling with discipline right now. But what has worked for me in past is what has anything ever worked? But no, it has. Like I've helped some people with this also. You have to break down the goal that you set and take smaller steps. So the reason we fail, like before I did this successful streak of 5 kilometers every day, I had done 20 attempts of doing a streak and failed at them because I never got the distance right. I did a 2 kilometer streak of 100 days and I wasn't inspired by it. Like, kaun si badi baat hogi. Then I did a 10K streak for 50 days and then 60 or 70 days I gave up because it's very challenging to do. So you have to like find the sweet spot. Like it's in bowling, you see that, and I've given this example before. जो pins होती हैं bowling में, the sport is interesting only because the pins are just at the right distance. उनको थोड़ा सा इधर कर दोगे आधा इंच, आपसे कभी हिट ही नहीं होगा. अगर आपने थोड़ा सा आधा इंच पास कर दिया, वो हर बार हिट होगा. In both the cases, the game is not interesting, which is exactly the thing with streaks as well. With yeah, so it has to, you have to figure out what is right for you, or jitna what is right for you, considering that you have to do this every day for the rest of your life. Like think about
So
that.
the challenge is that
And-
how do you do it
No,
every day?
but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. So keep a goal.
बैठ जाओ, sit down there.
बैठ जाओ, ठीक है? बोलना नहीं. Keep a goal that is small and manageable enough, and then there's no, like, keep it so small that there's no excuse to not do it. For
But
me,
the
5
excuse-
kilometer was
so-
that
So
distance.
I'm just trying to find an answer for myself
Sure.
here. That, even though I'm training with somebody who's really, really disciplined and I see him doing things every day,
Keshav, he's a robot.
he's like insanely disciplined.
Yeah.
He travels around the same schedule. He does it every day. And I've been struggling so much with just waking up, wanting to go out for a run at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, different days, different times.
Yeah.
But the first thing that runs in my head, I wake up, I'm up from my sleep every day at 4. But I get up, I sit up, and I'm like, yeah, let's go back to sleep. So these days have happened. So how do you train the mind to even cross that barrier?
So hard for me to say that, Rajesh, because it's a bit like, and I'm comparing this myself with Milind Soman here. He's said this in some interview that when he drifted off, he had become an athlete early in his life. Like he was a swimmer, national level swimmer. So he tasted what sports feels like, what success feels like, what discipline feels like. He had tasted that, and every time he drifted, he wanted to get back. He wanted that feeling back. Okay, I want to feel that way. And in my case, it's similar because I've run in past quite a bit and I know what the feeling is like. So last year, for about 2 months, I started waking up at 3:50 a.m. every single day. And I did that very successfully. And I loved every bit of it. Every bit of it. I've struggled to get back to that. But when I did it, every time I do it, I know being clean, sleeping early, is something that I enjoy so much, but it's never easy. Like change is never easy. You have to, like, we have to have arguments. Pooja and I have to have arguments about, because the sleeping time has to change. It's for the baby as well, and a lot of adjustments that you have to make, and they're never easy.
I think it's a struggle each one has to go
No,
through.
but remembering your past successes does help. Like when you used to cycle 450 kilometers, whatever the long distance cycling that you did, how did that make you feel? You like wo feeling jati nahi hai. Those are neural patterns that get
Yeah.
formed. You can get back to that. Like you have to understand the way the brain works. Like there are neural patterns that form with everything that you do consistently. So let's say you become a smoker, and this happened with me as well. I used to be a smoker and I had quit for 10 years. But that sensation, that feeling of this pulling something towards your mouth and smoking it, the puff, the entire feel, you take one puff 10 years later, and you get back into the same zone. And I got back into the exact same zone of chain smoking. And then it was 20 cigarettes a day. I didn't need one. So, and same patterns work positively as well. Like if you've tasted your disciplined side and what that feels like, and you decide that even if I drift, this is the feeling I want to come back to. That'll help. Like remember that. Don't let that drift way back in your memory. Like think more vividly about that time and the way you felt.
Yeah, I'll try that out. Cool.
Great.
So I think we should continue this some other time.
Yeah, dude. Like बातें तो हुई नहीं है, क्या करें अभी? Podcast का तो बात कर लेते हैं. So for people who want to start podcasting, what do you want to warn them about?
See, there's nothing to warn about. It's just that, if you, like I said, I mean, like we just discussed now, discipline, be it in podcasting journey or be it in any journey that you want to do, anything that you want to achieve, discipline and consistency is what will take you there. I think everybody talks about it, but it is the only thing that will take you somewhere. If you want to reach a particular point, traveling consistently, whether it is 1 meter, 1 kilometer, 100 kilometers, till when you do not do it consistently, you will not get there. So consistency definitely has to be there. And if you're doing it for a personal gain, then I don't know how long you will go.
Yeah.
You might be able to achieve quite a bit, but if you're able to detach the personal gain with maybe a larger picture, a larger vision, you will definitely go a long way.
I think that's a great one.
That's the only thing, because the day we realize that we don't want to connect it with the brand, and we do not want to do it for the sake of making our brand popular. We started doing it a lot more intensely, a lot more passionately, and we started talking to, and it's, the best part is people are liking it. We are in a very niche field of talking to creative folks, be it artists, sculptors, architects, interior designers, painters. We have had theater persons coming on the show. We've had ceramic artists coming on the show. And each one's life is, even though it might look similar, it's very different. It is very, very different. It's an individual's journey that gets them there. So that's what we like to talk about. And that's what we realize, that it's not about getting personal gains. So that's definitely helped us.
Before I forget, you should have Itu's mother on the podcast, Ira Chaudhary.
Yes, when I heard
She's
his podcast, I did think of him definitely, but I didn't know his mother was.
Yeah, she's a potter and very successful and awardee as well. सरकार से कौन से awards मिले मुझे नहीं, पद्मश्री या पता नहीं कोई तो होंगे. और she must be 85 plus now, but I hear that
it would be interesting
I hear that she's pretty fit still, and until a couple of years ago she used to travel to London by herself and give lectures. So yeah, she would be an amazing,
more than happy
she's
to
worth
get her.
traveling for. Like maybe you can make a trip for her. Yeah,
Definitely, we would love to do that.
Yeah, and Itu himself.
We definitely want to do that. And one thing we also realized, like we started small. We started with somebody who was very close, whom we can reach, with whom we were feeling confident and comfortable talking to. But now we are doing bigger and bigger guests, popular guests.
Yeah.
We, popular artists, even architects, and we've had some international figures come on the show.
Yeah.
So we are definitely growing bigger, and I'm sure people, and we haven't really heard much from our audience, but we'd be happy to get some feedback from them and see where to, steer the whole thing forward.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we're both in early stages and learning every day. This has been rewarding beyond words. So, I mean, I was asking you to what would you warn people about? And here's what I have to say. It's not going to be easy. Like this journey is tough. It's very demanding, like I mentioned before. There is a lot that goes into an episode. You have to, first of all, figure out what kind of guests align with your podcast, what value can they bring to the audience, and what sort of, then once you finalize that, you have to chase them for a date, And when you do that, you have to make travel arrangements, set up and everything. And then you have to figure out how can you make the episode interesting? How can you ask them different questions to what everybody has asked them? And in a way, that's unique to you because you bring in your personality and keep it natural as you are. Then you're doing a different job. Then once the episode is recorded, it has to be edited, and for that you have to listen to it. The editor has to spend 10x the time that you spent in recording it. You have to listen to it. You have to figure out what sort of things could become clips and reels and stuff, and then you share the feedback. Then the trailer has to be worked out. Then it has to be released across platforms. Data management. Like if you're doing this full time, if you have resources and you're doing this full time, then that's great. Maybe you'll love the process even more. But like any passion project, any side project, it can become very hectic. Like even running is, for a lot of people, running is very hectic because to be able to make time for ultra long runs is not easy. So just bear in mind that it's going to demand consistency, discipline, and effort, and know that you have to get into this long term. I know a couple of people who are like, I want to do this, so I want to try with 2-3 episodes and see how that goes. I was like, no, don't even do that. Like 3 episodes or even 20 episodes or even 50 episodes. It'll give you some idea of where do you want to take this, but you can't base your decision on, like you can't expect to be कि सक्सेसफुल होगा कि नहीं होगा, पैसे बनेंगे या नहीं बनेंगे, आपकी लाइफ इसे चलेगी या नहीं चलेगी. All of that is not going to happen in 50 episodes or 100 episodes. Someone may become popular much faster than us. Maybe their niche, maybe they're just much better or much better connected or whatever it is. They may become popular much faster. But you have to enter into this for the long haul. Do this for the love of it. Know that you will be doing this for the rest of your life. वो उस mindset से घुसोगे तो फिर ये सब बर्दाश्त हो जाएगा.
Yeah, true.
That's all that I had to add. Anything else you would like to share? Yeah. By the way, I love your podcast. I love Basho as a host as well. You guys,
He's been a great.
I don't know what you guys were doing before. Like you guys, someone looks at you and you're like, ये पहले podcasters क्यों नहीं थे?
That's, I think, a little too much. I mean, that's your kind words, but yeah, I think it does take a lot of effort. And like I said, I was not definitely confident of starting it alone. And Basho coming on board definitely helped. And I think it's a give and take for both of us where we say it on our podcast as well, that we are doing it for our own selfish reasons, in the sense that we're now getting addicted to wanting to know the other person's journey and learn from their life journeys.
Yeah.
So where we always take back something and try and see how we can implement that in our life.
तो हमने पहले पॉडकास्ट की तारीफ कर दी कि आपको करनी चाहिए, फिर मैंने बुराई कर दी कि डर जाओ, और अब मैं फिर से तारीफ कर देता हूँ कि it is so enriching. You get to spend time with amazing people. They let you into their homes or they come to your place, and then otherwise who will give you 2 hours of their life?
We ended
3
up
hours.
the last we recorded with an architect who is a design director with a very popular global architecture firm, and we ended up spending 4 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
4 hours, and we're like, and this was that we ended up stopping the recording at 9 in the night.
Wow.
And we're like, there's so much more that we have to talk about. Why are we stopping?
Yeah.
So with some of them, it just kicks off. I think not just some of them, everybody. Everybody who's been on our on the podcast, we've had a lot of good conversations.
You make great connections and friends, and you learn a lot. And I would love the liberty at some point to be able to just record for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. I'd love that sort of conversation. It just allows you to take detours and get to know a person in a way that no other conversation can allow.
I think one particular show that probably would require a mention here is Nilesh Mishra's Slow Interview. That's exactly like this. He doesn't have a set format. He doesn't have a set studio. So he does it anywhere and everywhere. And I haven't heard too many of his slow interview episodes.
I hear that it's very popular. I've never heard of one episode.
I've heard a lot of his stories where, he has another storytelling podcast. I don't know whether you'd call it a podcast or a show, but I've heard a lot of his stories, and I really love.
I've heard late night shows, like stories on radio by Nilesh Mishra. Yeah, he's great. He's great, and he has a great voice, and he's
Yeah.
a great storyteller. I've heard, and then this should not be mentioned on this show, but I am mentioning it. The Seen and the Unseen. अगर आप वो मत सुनना वो podcast क्योंकि if you listen to that, then you won't listen to us. It's so amazing. But and he does 10-hour episodes, dude.
I've heard of
8
this,
hours,
yes.
10 hours, yeah. Anyway, so this has been enriching.
Yeah,
ये
same
भी
here,
हम
same here.
we could do this for 3 hours,
Yes,
4 hours
a lot
easily.
more.
Yeah. Let's do a
Thank
round
you.
2 sometime.
Yes.
Hopefully in Bangalore, and if not in Bangalore, maybe the next time you're here. And
For
I think
sure.
this is a good time to say bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Bye.
Bye कर दूं? कौन है ये?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Cheers.